Welcome to the very first question and answer video on this channel. We got some very interesting questions and topics via Instagram, so if you have any questions to us regarding nutrition, regarding sports or regarding minimalism, please let us know. We would be very happy to answer your questions in the next Q&A video. The first question is regarding easily available gut healing foods. So if you're talking about gut healing, first it's very important to address the issue that has damaged your gut. So in order to heal your gut, the first step is to stop damaging it. By damaging, I mean stop eating refined grains, refined sugars, refined oils in a very high quantity. Stop drinking caffeine a lot. Get your sleep in order. Get your stress levels in order. Stop drinking alcohol. This is another big issue for the digestive tract, or can be a big issue for the digestive tract. So first one, like I said, stop the damage, and then if you want to do something good for your gut, make sure to eat a very healthy, whole food, plant-based, balanced diet. If you're struggling a lot, it might be a good idea to add some fermented foods to your diet. So for example, sauerkraut, you can actually do that at home, which we will show you in a video like in 2 or 3 weeks when our sauerkraut is ready fermented. Then you could eat maybe some soy yogurts. Try to pick the plant-based yogurts that have the least amount of ingredients. You can do tempeh, you can do stuff like kombucha. So yeah, you can add some fermented foods to your diet in order to improve your gut even more. So next one, what is leaky gut? So leaky gut is actually a term that is used by the general public, I want to say, but the scientific term is gut permeability. So when the tight junctions in your gut aren't like tied together anymore, then it allows undigested food particles and proteins and toxins to enter your bloodstream through the wall of your digestive tract, or via the wall of your colon. And this can lead to all sorts of issues. It can lead to autoimmune diseases when protein particles get into your blood. It can lead to autoimmune diseases. It will put more stress on your liver because your liver has to do more detoxifying. So stage 1 and 2 of liver detoxification will be stressed even more because there are so many toxins in your bloodstream. And the thing is, if you want to treat your leaky gut, then your gut will need certain nutrients, or a wide variety of different nutrients and minerals and vitamins. But the thing is, your liver will take those nutrients first in order to do the detoxification that is caused by the leaky gut. So this is kind of a vicious cycle. So the first thing that you have to do when your gut is leaking is to stop the damage. Therefore, you have to figure out where the damage comes from, or what causes the gut to be leaky. So this can be, maybe you have a very unhealthy diet, maybe you have small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, maybe you have candida infections, maybe you have parasite infections. So that's what you have to ask in the first place to get rid of this. And then eat a very whole food, plant-based diet with lots of minerals and nutrients. Stop the junk food, stop the saturated animal fats, stop the alcohol, stop damaging the gut in the first place. And if you want to know more about this topic, someone who is even more able than me to explain this very important topic is the YouTuber Gojiman, which we will link in the comments below. Check out his videos on SIBO or leaky gut. He's more educated than me on this topic, and I'm happy to address you to him. The next one is all about the topic of bloating, how to avoid bloating. So again, like the first and second question, first you have to know why you get bloated after eating certain foods. So it might be helpful to eliminate certain foods and then reintroduce them to figure out what food actually causes the bloating in the first place. And then it might be a wise idea to figure out if you tolerate these foods in a certain cooking way. So it might be that you cannot digest raw broccoli very well, but steamed broccoli is totally fine. So that's something that you can figure out. Of course, there might be some issues in your gut or something that is not working properly. So you might have a SIBO infection, or your stomach acid might be too high or too low. That can cause bloating as well. But I think for the most part, there are some very easy tricks that you can do to prevent bloating. So the first one is to eat slowly and chew your food very well, very thoroughly, because the digestion starts actually in your mouth with the saliva and with chewing your food. So that's one, chew your food very well. Eat mindfully, so don't get distracted by your smartphone, by the TV, by YouTube, by Netflix, whatever. Really take your time, sit down and enjoy your meal. Don't eat it when you're rushing like to work, to university, wherever. Really take your time to focus on your food and chew it well, and this will help you to not get bloated that much. When it comes to legumes, there are things that you can do here as well. When you cook legumes from scratch, really make sure to cook them maybe a little bit longer than normally, so very thoroughly, that they are very soft. If you purchase canned chickpeas or canned beans, then make sure to rinse them very good. You can combine legumes with spices like turmeric, cumin, and caraway seeds. Caraway.
Yeah.
You can combine it with caraway seeds. This will help your digestion. Another thing that is helpful when you cook legumes from scratch, or even whole grains as well, soak them overnight so that they get softer, and due to the soaking process there are some enzymes that get activated that reduce certain compounds of the legumes that might cause bloating. And if that isn't working as well, you can also go more towards processed legumes. With processed, I mean you can use tempeh or tofu, like to give you a kind of a start into eating more and more unrefined legumes. Tolerance, allergy, sensitivity, and malabsorption. So now I want to go through some terms that often get mixed together. So the terms I'm talking about are food intolerance, allergy, sensitivity, food sensitivity, and malabsorption. So all these terms are not the same, and I want to explain what they actually mean. So let's start with food intolerance. Typically, example, let's say you are lactose intolerant, which most of human population is, because we are not baby cows or not babies in general. If you're lactose intolerant, it can cause bloating because the lactose sugar consists of two sugar molecules. There's glucose and there's galactose, and if this cannot be broken apart in your small intestine, then it will travel down into the colon and can cause diarrhea because it pulls water into the lumen, and that can cause diarrhea, or it can cause bloating as well. So this is food intolerance. Then we have allergies. So typical allergy would be, let's say, against peanuts or against wheat. And the allergy is when your body produces antibodies to fight certain compounds that are coming into your body, let's say for example wheat or peanuts. Now allergies can cause some serious side effects because it can even lead to death. So it's not the same as a food intolerance, because like I said, when you have an allergy, there are antibodies that are produced, and when you're just intolerant, no antibodies will be produced. Now there's something sensitivity. You might have sensitivity in regards to gluten. So there might be something that is called non-celiac gluten sensitivity, which goes for people who have no diagnosis of celiac disease or no allergy to wheat or something, but they just don't feel very well when they are eating gluten. Of course, you always have to make sure if it's really the gluten that causes the problem, or if it's just the fact that you're eating refined junk. So that's very important to figure out. For everyone out there who is not celiac, who has no celiac disease, or who has no wheat allergy or no other autoimmune disease, you can eat gluten all day long. It will not cause any damage to your body. I would even argue that it is a bad idea to get rid of gluten-containing foods for no reason, because then you're decreasing the variety in your diet, which is not a smart idea when you have a very healthy microbiome, aka gut flora. So the last term is malabsorption. This is typically used for fructose. You might have heard some people talking about that they have fructose intolerance. Usually what they mean is that they're not absorbing fructose very well. That's why it's called malabsorption. What that means is that the fructose is not properly absorbed in the small intestine because some absorption mechanisms might be inhibited. And then what happens is the fructose goes down into your colon as well, and quite similar to the lactose problematic that I described before, it can cause diarrhea, bloating, or just feeling miserable in general. What you can do here is to boost the fructose absorption. When you're eating fruits, you can combine these fruits with a source of glucose. So for example, in the form of oatmeal. Because what happens then is the glucose actually improves the absorption of the fructose. Or you can choose fruits that are where the ratio of glucose to fructose is very high towards the glucose. For example, berries are gut geeignet. Gut geeignet.
Appropriate?
Yeah, berries would be appropriate in that situation. So, last question for today is about autoimmune diseases. So, characteristic of an autoimmune disease is when your body attacks your own cells or parts of your own body. For example, when your body is producing antibodies towards your thyroid, then we're talking about Hashimoto's disease. When it's against the pancreas or the beta cells in your pancreas, then we're talking about type 1 diabetes. If it's attacking your joints, we're talking about arthritis. If it's tackling your inlining of the small intestines, then we're talking about celiac disease. So there's a wide variety of autoimmune diseases. The cause of most of the autoimmune diseases is not really clear in most cases, as far as I know. But what I do know is that in most cases, at least the conditions can be improved. So that's the least you can do. Doesn't matter if you can cure autoimmune diseases or not. At least you can go into remission, or you can improve the symptoms or the cause of the disease with a whole foods plant-based diet. One reason you would exclude dairy products, and it might be a smart idea to stop gluten, but I'm not sure about that. But I'm very sure about the dairy point, because the casein protein is actually pretty similar to some human proteins, and that can aggravate the situation where your body is attacking your own proteins, because it confuses it with the dairy protein casein. Also, we know for a fact that a whole foods plant-based diet reduces your risk of getting strokes, of getting heart attacks. It can even reverse heart disease. It can reverse type 2 diabetes. So the least thing that you want to have when you're dealing with an autoimmune disease is a stroke, a heart disease, or diabetes on top of that. So at least you can avoid getting these diseases on top of your autoimmune disease. Another point by which a whole food plant-based diet might be good for autoimmune conditions is the anti-inflammatory nature of a whole foods plant-based diet, because you're avoiding a huge amount of saturated fats and trans fats, animal proteins and heme iron and stuff that can cause inflammation in the body, and you're focusing on whole plants, which are high in antioxidants, high in phenols, and high in fiber, which are all anti-inflammatory compounds. And we know that inflammation is a huge driver in most diseases, and even makes situations worse for those who are suffering with autoimmune conditions. That was it for the first Q&A video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Like I said in the beginning, if you have any questions to us regarding minimalism, food, nutrition, cooking, sports, whatever you fancy, just let us know in the comments or shoot us a message on Instagram. You can reach us at Eat the Rainbow. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.